Ji-hoon Park wiped the grease from his hands and checked the time on his work tablet. 6:30 in the evening. His daughter Hana would be waiting for him. Today was his birthday, and she had been planning something special for weeks. The 7-year-old had been so excited, whispering secrets with their neighbor Mrs. Kang giggling behind her small hands. He smiled at the thought. Hana was all he had left after his wife died 2 years ago. The little girl had become his whole world. She made him paper flowers and drew pictures of their family. She left notes in his lunchbox that said, "I love you, Daddy," in wobbly handwriting. Ji-hoon worked at New Seoul Station, a large space station that floated between Earth and the outer colonies. Thousands of people lived here. Thousands more passed through every day. Ships came and went, carrying goods and passengers across the stars. It was the year 2287, and humanity had spread far into space, but places like this station were the glue that held everything together. He was a maintenance engineer in the docking bay. It was not a glamorous job. He fixed broken equipment, checked safety systems, and made sure ships could dock safely. The pay was decent. It let him give Hana a good life, even if their home was just a small habitat module with 2 bedrooms and a kitchen. Ji-hoon started packing his tools. His shift was over. He could already imagine Hana's face when he walked through the door. But then the emergency alarm sounded. The sharp, blaring noise echoed through the docking bay. Red lights flashed on every wall. His supervisor's voice came through the speakers. "All personnel, we have an emergency docking. Civilian transport ship designation CT-447. Life support failure. Possible casualties. Emergency teams are 20 minutes out." Ji-hoon's heart sank. 20 minutes was a long time when people were dying. He looked at his tablet again. He should go home. The emergency team would handle it. That was protocol, but something made him stay. He pulled up the ship's information on his screen. CT-447 was a small transport. It carried 40 passengers. The life support had failed 2 hours ago. The distress message mentioned children on board. Children. Ji-hoon thought of Hana waiting at home. He thought of other children, other fathers and mothers. He made his decision. He grabbed his emergency kit and ran toward the docking port where CT-447 was coming in. The ship appeared in the viewport, limping toward the station. It was damaged, moving slowly. Black scorch marks covered its hull. The ship docked with a heavy clang. Ji-hoon overrode the safety locks and forced the airlock open. The protocol said to wait. Protocol said it was too dangerous. But protocol did not think about the children inside. The moment he stepped into the ship, he knew it was bad. The air smelled wrong, metallic and bitter. His scanner showed radiation levels that made his stomach twist. The reactor had leaked. Anyone exposed for too long would die. He moved quickly through the narrow corridors. Emergency lights flickered. The ship was silent except for the hiss of failing systems. In the crew quarters, he found the captain and 2 crew members. They were dead, killed by the radiation. Ji-hoon pushed down his fear and kept moving. The passenger hold was at the back of the ship. He heard something as he got closer, a sound like clicking and humming, strange and alien. The passenger hold was dark. His flashlight beam cut through the shadows. Most of the seats were empty. A few human passengers lay motionless in their seats. He checked them quickly. Dead. All dead. Then he saw movement in the corner. A creature stood there, unlike anything Ji-hoon had seen in person. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with 4 arms and a body covered in a hard shell that shimmered like crystal. 2 large wings hung from her back, transparent and fragile-looking. Her face was insectoid with multiple eyes that reflected his light like mirrors. She was a Valak. Ji-hoon had seen pictures but never met one in person. The Valak were insect-like aliens from the outer regions. They mostly kept to themselves. The Valak mother was hunched over a cryopod, her 4 hands working desperately at the controls. Inside the pod, Ji-hoon could see 3 small shapes. Larvae. Her children. "Help," the Valak said in broken standard language. Her voice was clicking and musical at the same time. "Please, my baby's dying." Ji-hoon looked at the cryopod. The display showed critical failure. The temperature was rising. The larvae inside would not survive much longer. His scanner showed he had maybe 15 minutes before the radiation in this room reached lethal levels. He could leave. Call for help. Wait for the professionals. That was the safe choice. The smart choice. But those larvae would be dead in 15 minutes. Ji-hoon set down his kit and moved to the cryopod. "I will help," he said. The Velik mother made a sound like a sob. Her wings vibrated with emotion. Ji-hoon examined the pod's systems. The main power coupling had failed, and the backup system was damaged. He could fix it, but it would take time. Time he did not have. His radiation badge was already turning yellow. "What is your name?" he asked as he worked, trying to keep the mother calm. "Yenna," she clicked. "I am Yenna. I am Ji-hoon. Hold this light for me." Yenna held the flashlight steady while Ji-hoon worked. His hands moved quickly, pulling apart the damaged systems and rerouting power. He used parts from his emergency kit, jury-rigging connections that would make any engineer cringe. But it did not have to be perfect. It just had to work. The Velik mother watched him with her strange eyes. She was shaking. "Why you help?" she asked. "Not your people." Ji-hoon did not look up from his work. "Does not matter," he said simply. "They are children." An hour passed. Then two. His radiation badge turned orange. His hands started to shake from the exposure. But the cryopod was working again. The temperature dropped. The larvae stopped moving frantically and settled into peaceful sleep. 3 hours. 4. Ji-hoon added more fixes, making sure the system would hold until the ship was safe. His vision was starting to blur. He felt sick. Finally, he finished. The cryopod was stable. The larvae were safe. "They will be okay," he told Yenna. "We need to leave now." They made it to the airlock as the emergency team arrived. Ji-hoon tried to explain what happened, but his words came out wrong. The world was spinning. He heard Yenna's clicking voice, urgent and afraid. He heard human voices shouting medical terms. Then everything went dark. When Ji-hoon woke up, he was in the medical bay. White lights hurt his eyes. His body felt heavy and wrong. A medical scanner hummed above his bed, and next to him, holding his hand, was Hana. His little girl's eyes were red from crying. Her face was pale. On the table next to his bed, he could see a small, sad-looking cake. 7 candles melted and bent. Paper cranes scattered around it. "Daddy," Hana whispered. "You missed dinner." Ji-hoon's heart broke. "I am sorry, sweetheart." "I am so sorry." Hana did not say anything. She just held his hand tighter. But Ji-hoon could see it in her eyes. The hurt, the confusion. Why did he choose strangers over her special day? He did not have an answer she would understand. Not yet. Outside the medical bay window, a strange insectoid face appeared. Yenna pressed one hand against the glass. She was trying to say thank you. But Ji-hoon barely saw her. He was looking at his daughter, at the birthday he had missed, at the cake she had made with such love. He had saved 3 lives today. But he wondered if he had just broken the one heart that mattered most. Ji-hoon spent 3 days in the medical bay. The doctors said he was lucky. The radiation exposure was moderate, not lethal. He would recover fully with treatment. They gave him medicine that made him tired and nauseous, but it cleaned the radiation from his body. Hana visited every day after school. She sat next to his bed and did her homework. She did not talk much. The silence between them felt heavy and strange. Ji-hoon tried to explain why he had gone into that ship, why he had stayed so long. But the words never came out right. There were children. Hana. They would have died. "I am your child," Hana said quietly, not looking up from her math worksheet. "I was waiting for you." What could he say to that? She was right. He had chosen to save strangers instead of coming home to her. It did not matter that those strangers were dying. 7-year-olds did not think about things like that. They just knew their daddy had missed their special day. On the 4th day, Ji-hoon was cleared to leave the medical bay. A nurse helped him walk back to their habitat module. Hana walked ahead of them, her small backpack bouncing with each step. When they got home, Ji-hoon saw the decorations Hana had made. Paper cranes hung from the ceiling on strings. A banner that said "Happy Birthday, Daddy" in colorful letters. The table was still set for dinner, though the food had been cleaned away. Mrs. Kang, their elderly neighbor, was there. She had been watching Hana while Ji-hoon was in the hospital. She gave him a warm hug. "You did a good thing," she said. "A very foolish, very good thing." That afternoon, there was a knock on the door. Ji-hoon opened it to find Yenna standing in the hallway. She had to duck to fit through the doorway. Behind her were 2 station officials in uniform and a small robot that floated in the air. The robot spoke for Yenna, translating her clicking language into standard. "I come to thank." Yena's voice said through the robot. You saved my children. You saved my life. I have no words big enough. Ji-hoon shook his head. You do not need to thank me. I did what anyone would do. Yena's wings fluttered. The translator robot made a sound like laughter. No, not anyone. Only you came. Only you helped. One of the station officials, a woman named Officer Kim, stepped forward. Mr. Park, we need to discuss the situation with our guest here. May we come in? They all squeezed into Ji-hoon's small living room. Hana peeked out from her bedroom, curious about the strange alien in their home. Yena noticed her and waved with 2 of her 4 hands. Hana quickly hit again. Officer Kim pulled out a tablet. Mr. Park, Yena here is a refugee from the Galactic HFY War. She was fleeing to the outer colonies with her children. The ship that brought her here was a transport, but it ran into problems, as you know. What will happen to her? Ji-hoon asked. The other official, a man named Mr. Cho, frowned. According to station regulations, she needs to be processed at a refugee center. The nearest one is 3 systems away. We will arrange transport for her and her larvae. What is this refugee center like? Ji-hoon asked. Officer Kim shifted uncomfortably. It is adequate. They provide basic care and processing for asylum seekers. That is not an answer. Mr. Cho sighed. The centers are overcrowded. Resources are limited. For humans it is difficult but manageable. For Velik, he trailed off. My babies will die, Yena said through the translator. Her voice was flat, but her wings trembled. Velik larvae need special food. The centers do not have it? I asked. They said they will try. But trying is not enough. Ji-hoon looked at Hana's bedroom door. He thought about what it meant to be a parent, to protect your children no matter what, to face impossible choices. What are her other options? He asked. Officer Kim pulled up information on her tablet. She can apply for asylum here on the station. But she would need a sponsor, someone who is a station resident, who can vouch for her, provide housing support, and take legal responsibility for her during the processing period. How long does processing take? 6 months to a year, usually. And if she has no sponsor? She goes to the refugee center. Ji-hoon stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the station's main corridor. Humans walked by, going about their daily lives. Some were laughing. Some were in a hurry. None of them knew that a mother and her children were about to be sent to die in a refugee center. He thought about his own life. After his wife died, people had helped him. Mrs. Kang had watched Hana when he worked late shifts. His supervisor had given him flexible hours. Neighbors had brought food, small acts of kindness that had kept him going. I will sponsor her, Ji-hoon said. The room went silent. Officer Kim stared at him. Mr. Park, do you understand what that means? You would be legally responsible for an alien family. You would need to provide housing, help them adapt to station life, attend legal hearings. This is a significant commitment. I understand. You barely know her. I know she is a mother trying to protect her children. That is enough. Mr. Cho shook his head. Mr. Park, I must advise against this. The Velik are very different from humans. Their needs, their culture, their way of thinking. It will not be easy. And frankly, many station residents are uncomfortable with Velik. They look intimidating. Ji-hoon turned to face them. When I was in that ship, I did not think about what species she was. I just saw someone who needed help. That has not changed. Officer Kim and Mr. Cho exchanged glances. Finally, Officer Kim nodded. Very well. We will process the paperwork. Yena and her larvae can stay in Auxiliary Housing Unit 12. You will need to report to the immigration office tomorrow to sign the documents. After the officials left, Yena remained. She stood in the middle of Ji-hoon's small living room, her large form making the space feel even smaller. Why you do this? She asked. First you save us. Now you give us home. Why? Ji-hoon thought about it. Because no one else would, he said finally. And because it is the right thing to do. Yena's translator was quiet for a moment. Then it said, in Velik culture we live for the hive. The group is everything. Individual choice is small. But you choose to help with no hive to tell you. This is strange to me. Strange, but beautiful. After Yena left, Hana came out of her room. She looked up at her father with serious eyes. Are the bug people going to live here? No, sweetheart. They will have their own home. But I will help them. Why? Ji-hoon knelt down to her level. Do you remember when Mommy died and we were so sad? Do you remember how Mrs. Kang brought us soup every day? How your teacher let you stay after school when I was working late? How our friends helped us? Hana nodded slowly. People helped us when we needed it. Now it is our turn to help someone else. But you missed my birthday, Hana said, her voice small. I know, and I am so sorry. I wish I could change that. But those babies would have died if I had not helped. Can you understand that? Hana was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Can we have my birthday dinner now? Even if it is late? Ji-hoon pulled her into a hug. Yes, we can have it right now. That evening they had the dinner Hana had planned. Mrs. Kang came over and helped them cook. They ate and laughed, and for a little while everything felt normal again. But outside whispers were starting to spread through the station. The human who saved the aliens. The man who was bringing Velik to live among them. Not everyone was happy about it. Ji-hoon did not know it yet, but his simple act of kindness had started something much bigger than himself. Something that would change not just his life, but the lives of millions across the stars. For now, though, he just sat with his daughter, eating birthday cake that was 4 days old, and tried to believe he had made the right choice. 3 weeks passed, and life on New Seoul Station developed a strange new rhythm. Yenna and her 3 larvae lived in Auxiliary Housing Unit 12, a small space that had once been used for storage. Ji-hoon helped her set it up, bringing in basic furniture and showing her how to use human appliances. The larvae were fascinating creatures. They were each about the size of a human toddler, with soft shells that would harden as they grew. They could not speak yet, but they communicated through chirps and color changes in their shells. Yenna told Ji-hoon their names in the Velik language, long and clicking sounds that his human mouth could not reproduce. Hana started calling them Sunny, Cloud, and Moon because of their shell colors. Sunny was golden yellow, Cloud was pale gray, and Moon was silvery white. The names stuck. Every evening after work, Ji-hoon stopped by Yenna's unit to check on her. He taught her how to use the station's computer system, how to order supplies, how to navigate the complicated human bureaucracy. Yenna was smart and learned quickly, but everything about human culture confused her. Why do humans waste time on greetings? She asked one day. You say how are you, but do not want real answer. In Hive, we simply share information directly. Ji-hoon laughed. It is called being polite. We do it to show we care. But it is inefficient. Maybe. But that is what makes us human. Yenna kept a journal on her personal device. She recorded everything she observed about humans, writing in her native language. It started as a way to understand these strange creatures, but it became something more. She found herself fascinated by the small things humans did. One day she watched through her window as Ji-hoon fixed the door to Mrs. Kang's habitat. The old woman had no money to pay him, but he fixed it anyway. When she offered him soup as payment, he accepted with a smile. Another day she saw a group of human children sharing their lunch with a child who had forgotten his. They gave freely, expecting nothing back. She watched humans argue about politics, then laugh and have drinks together. She saw them form friendships across cultural lines. She saw them help strangers for no logical reason. In Velik society, everything served the hive. Every action had purpose. Every individual knew their role. But humans had no central hive mind. They were all individuals making their own choices, often contradicting each other. Yet somehow they still functioned. They still helped each other. It was inefficient. It was chaotic. It was beautiful. Ji-hoon noticed that not everyone was happy about Yenna's presence. Some station residents crossed to the other side of the corridor when they saw her. Others stared with fear or disgust. The Velik looked frightening to human eyes with their hard shells and multiple limbs. A petition started circulating. Concerned Citizens for Station Safety, it was called. They wanted Yenna and her larvae removed. The language was carefully worded, talking about cultural compatibility and resource allocation. But the message was clear. They did not want aliens living among them. Ji-hoon read the petition with growing anger. These were his neighbors, people he had worked with for years. Now they were trying to force out a mother and her children. The petition called for a vote. If a majority of station residents voted yes, Yenna would be deported, sponsor or no sponsor. The vote was scheduled for 3 weeks away. Ji-hoon tried to talk to people to change their minds. Most were polite but firm. They were not being cruel, they said. They just were not comfortable. The Velik were too different, too alien. What if one of those larvae grows up and hurts someone? asked Mr. Han, who worked in station administration. We don't know anything about their biology. Yenna is peaceful, Ji-hoon argued. She has done nothing wrong, yet Mr. Han said, Look, Park, I respect what you did. Saving them was heroic, but keeping them here permanently? That is different. One afternoon, Ji-hoon brought Hana to visit Yenna. His daughter had been curious about the aliens, asking questions every day. It was time for her to meet them properly. Yenna's unit was warm, warmer than human habitats. The larvae needed the heat. Sunny, Cloud, and Moon were playing with some blocks that Ji-hoon had brought over. They stacked them with their small appendages, chirping happily when the towers fell down. Hana stood in the doorway, nervous. The larvae noticed her and stopped playing. For a moment, everyone was still. Then Sunny chirped and rolled a block toward Hana. It was an invitation to play. Hana looked up at her father. Ji-hoon nodded. It is okay, sweetheart. Slowly, Hana sat down on the floor. She rolled the block back. Sunny chirped excitedly and rolled it again. Soon, all 3 larvae were rolling blocks to Hana, and she was laughing, rolling them back. They like you, Yenna said through her translator. Her wings fluttered happily. Over the next few days, something wonderful happened. Hana started visiting Yenna's unit every day after school. She played with the larvae, teaching them human games like hide and seek. The larvae taught her their light songs, patterns of chirps and color changes that told stories. Ji-hoon watched his daughter laugh and play, really play, for the first time since her mother died. Hana had been so sad for so long, but the larvae made her smile again. They did not care that she was human. They just wanted to be her friends. One evening, as Ji-hoon was leaving Yenna's unit, she stopped him. I want to understand something, she said. You work long hours. You care for your child alone. You have little money, yet you help me. You give your time, your resources. Why? Ji-hoon thought about it. My wife used to say that we are not measured by what we have, but by what we give. I am just trying to live up to that. Your mate was wise. She was. I miss her every day. I understand, Yenna said. My mate died in the hive war. He was protecting our eggs when the soldiers came. I could not save him. I could only save our larvae and run. They stood in silence for a moment. 2 single parents who had lost their partners, trying to raise their children in a difficult universe. We are not so different. You and I, Ji-hoon said finally. No, Yenna agreed. We are not. But then came the night that changed everything. It was 2 a.m. when Ji-hoon's comm device buzzed urgently. It was Yenna. Her voice through the translator was panicked. Please come. Sunny is sick. Very sick. Ji-hoon threw on clothes and ran to her unit. Inside, he found Yenna hovering over Sunny. The larva's shell had turned dark, almost black. It was not moving, barely breathing. What happened?
Ji-hoon asked. I do not know.
She was fine. Then she started changing color. She is dying, Ji-hoon, I can feel it. Ji-hoon called the station medical center, but they had no xenobiologists on staff. They could not help. He pulled out his tablet and started searching for information about Velic larvae. He found something. A research paper about Velic biology. The larvae needed a specific mineral compound found in vegetation on their homeworld. Without it, they slowly weakened and died. Adult Velic could survive without it, but larvae could not. How long since Sunny had this mineral? Ji-hoon asked. We ran out 2 weeks ago. I have been trying to order more, but the shipping takes months. I thought we had time. I was wrong. Ji-hoon looked at the dying larva. Hana loved Sunny. She would be heartbroken. But more than that, this was a child. Someone's baby. He made a decision. I am going to synthesize it, he said. You cannot. You are not a scientist. I am an engineer. I can figure it out. He spent the rest of the night in the station's chemistry lab, one of the public facilities available to residents. He pulled up the research paper and studied the mineral compound's molecular structure. It was complex, requiring elements he did not have easy access to. He started making calls. He contacted every merchant on the station, cashing in favors, trading his personal savings. He needed rare elements, and they were expensive. Finally, a merchant agreed to sell him what he needed, but the price was high. Higher than Ji-hoon had. He went back to his habitat and opened his safe. Inside was a small box containing his late wife's jewelry. The last thing he had of her. Worth exactly enough to buy what he needed. Ji-hoon held the box for a long moment. Then he took it to the merchant and made the trade. Back in the lab, he worked through the night. Chemistry was not his specialty, but he understood systems and processes. He followed the research paper carefully, mixing elements, heating them, cooling them, trying to create the compound that would save Sonny's life. He made mistakes. Mixtures exploded. Equipment broke. He nearly gave up a dozen times. But every time he thought about quitting, he remembered Hana's laugh as she played with the larvae. He remembered Yena's desperate voice. As the sun rose over the station, Ji-hoon finally succeeded. The compound was crude, not perfect, but it would work. He brought it to Yena's unit. She fed it to Sonny immediately. For long, terrible minutes, nothing happened. Then slowly, very slowly, Sonny's shell began to lighten. The larva chirped weakly. "She will live," Yena said, her voice full of relief and wonder. "You saved her. Again." Ji-hoon slumped against the wall, exhausted. His hands were burned from the chemicals. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. "Why?" Yena asked. "Why do you sacrifice so much for those not your hive?" Ji-hoon looked at her with tired eyes. "Because you needed help. That is enough." The day after Ji-hoon saved Sonny, Hana came home from school crying. Her small face was red and puffy. She dropped her backpack by the door and ran to her room. Ji-hoon followed her, worried. "Hana, what happened?" She was lying on her bed, face buried in her pillow. "The kids at school said mean things." "What kind of things?" "They said you are weird for helping the bugs. They said the bugs are gross and scary. They said I am gross too because I play with them." Fresh tears came. "They would not sit with me at lunch." Ji-hoon sat on the edge of her bed and rubbed her back. "I am sorry, sweetheart. People can be unkind when they are afraid. But Sunny and Cloud and Moon are nice. They are my friends. I know they are. And you are being very brave by being their friend when others are not." "I do not want to be brave," Hana said. "I just want things to be normal." Ji-hoon had no answer for that. He wanted the same thing, but normal was gone. He had made his choice to help Yena, and now both he and Hana were paying the price. That evening, Mrs. Kang came over with dinner. The old woman had been watching the situation with wise, sad eyes. She sat down with Ji-hoon while Hana ate in her room. "The petition has almost enough signatures," Mrs. Kang said quietly. "People are scared. They see Yena and they think of monsters from old Earth stories. They do not see a mother trying to protect her babies. What should I do?" Ji-hoon asked. "You are already doing it," Mrs. Kang said. "You are showing them what it means to be human. To choose kindness over fear. But I will not lie to you, Ji-hoon. The vote is in 3 days. It is not looking good." That night, Ji-hoon lay awake thinking. He had given up his savings. He had sold his wife's jewelry. He had exposed himself to radiation. And now his daughter was being bullied because of his choices. Was it worth it? Was helping strangers worth hurting the person he loved most? He heard a small sound at his door. Hana stood there in her pajamas, holding her stuffed bear. "Daddy?" "I was thinking," she said. "Come here, sweetheart." He patted the bed, and she climbed up next to him. "Why did you help the bug people?" she asked. "Really help them, I mean. Not just save them from the ship, but give them a home and everything." Ji-hoon thought carefully about his answer. "Do you remember when Mommy got sick?" Hana nodded. "And do you remember how scared we were? How much we needed help?" "Yeah, people helped us. The doctors tried their best. Friends brought food, Mrs. Kang watched you. Everyone did what they could, even though in the end we still lost Mommy." His voice got thick. "We could not save her. But people tried. They tried because that is what you do when someone needs help." "Even if it is hard?" Hana asked. "Especially if it is hard. Your mother always said that the right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same thing. She would have helped Yena. I know she would have, so I am trying to do what she would have done." Hana was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "The kids at school are wrong. Sunny and Cloud and Moon are not gross. They are just different. You are a smart girl. But I am still sad. I know. Me too." The next morning, Ji-hoon went to work exhausted. His supervisor noticed and pulled him aside. "Park, you look terrible. What is going on?" Ji-hoon explained about Sunny being sick, about staying up all night to synthesize the compound. His supervisor shook his head. "You need to let this go. The aliens are not your responsibility." "They are, though. I sponsored them. You can withdraw your sponsorship. Send them to the refugee center. It is not your problem anymore." Ji-hoon looked at his supervisor, this man he had worked with for 5 years. "Would you do that?" Would you send a mother and her children to die just because it was easier? His supervisor looked uncomfortable. That is not fair. Is it fair what is happening to them? Look, Park, I get it. You are a good person. But you have to think about your own kid. This petition, this vote, it is tearing the station apart. People are angry. Your daughter is getting bullied. Is it worth it? Ji-hoon went home that evening with those words echoing in his head. Was it worth it? He found Hana in Yena's unit playing with the larvae. They were teaching her a new light song, their shells flashing in patterns. Hana was laughing, really laughing the way she used to before her mother died. Yena saw him watching. Your child has a gift, she said through her translator. She sees with her heart, not her eyes. This is rare even among Velik. She likes you, Ji-hoon said. All of you. We like her too. She makes Sunny, Cloud, and Moon very happy. They ask about her every day. That night, Ji-hoon had trouble sleeping again. He kept thinking about the vote, about what would happen if Yena was forced to leave. The larvae would die in the refugee center. Yena would be alone, having lost everything. And Hana would lose her friends, the first real friends she had made since her mother died. At midnight, his comm device buzzed. It was Yena. Ji-hoon, I need to speak with you. It is important. He got dressed and went to her unit. Yena was sitting in front of her computer, all four hands moving quickly across the interface. The screen was filled with writing in the Velik language. I have made a decision, she said. I have been documenting my time here, writing about everything I observe. About you, about humans, about this station. Why? Ji-hoon asked. Because I needed to understand. In the hive, we are all connected. We share thoughts, feelings, purpose. But humans are separate. Each one is alone in their own mind. Yet you still help each other. You still show kindness. This fascinates me. She turned the screen to show him. Pages and pages of writing, alongside images and videos she had recorded. I have documented how you fixed Mrs. Kang's door for no payment, how children share food with friends, how strangers help each other in small ways every day, how you sacrificed your mate's jewelry to save my child. I do not understand, Ji-hoon said. Why document all this? Because I am going to send it to the Velik Hive Network, Yena said. I am going to show my people what humanity truly is. Will they care? Yena's wings fluttered in what Ji-hoon had learned was amusement. My people are at war. Civil war, tearing the hive apart. It is about resources, about power, about who controls what. But maybe if they see what I have seen, they will understand there is another way. You think your journal will stop a war? No, Yena said honestly. But it might make them think. Make them question. And that is a start. She pressed a button and the file uploaded to the Velik network. It is done. I have titled it, Observations on a Species Without Hive, The Paradox of Human Strength. What will happen now? Ji-hoon asked. I do not know. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. But I had to try. You showed me that trying matters even when success is not guaranteed. The next day was strange. Yena's journal spread through the Velik network faster than anyone expected. The Velik were a connected species, their communications instant across star systems. Within hours, millions of Velik were reading about Ji-hoon, about New Sol Station, about the small kindnesses humans showed each other. The response was intense. Some Velik dismissed it as propaganda. Others were intrigued. The Velik High Command, the ruling body of the species, requested more information. By evening, news reporters from across human space were requesting interviews. The story of the human who saved an alien family and the alien who documented human kindness had gone viral. Ji-hoon ignored most of it. He was focused on the vote, which was tomorrow. All the attention in the galaxy did not matter if the station voted to deport Yena. That night, he sat with Hana and tried to prepare her for what might happen. If the vote goes badly, he said carefully, Yena and the larvae will have to leave. Can we go with them? Hana asked. Ji-hoon was surprised. You would want that? Sunny is my friend. I do not want her to go away. It is not that simple, sweetheart. We have our life here. My job, your school, Mrs. Kang. But you said we should help people who need help. I did say that. Then we should help them. Even if it is hard, Ji-hoon hugged his daughter close. When had she become so wise, so brave? Let us wait and see what happens tomorrow, he said. Maybe the vote will go our way. But he did not believe it. He had seen the petition signatures. He had heard the whispers. The station would vote to deport Yena. and there was nothing he could do to stop it. The morning of the vote, Ji-hoon woke up with a heavy feeling in his chest. He made breakfast for Hana, got her ready for school, and tried to act normal. But they both knew today was different. Today would decide Yena's fate. The station council meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. All residents were invited to attend. The vote would be simple. Yes, to allow Yena and her larvae to stay. No, to deport them to the refugee center. Ji-hoon dropped Hana at school and went to work. But he could not focus. His hands shook as he tried to repair equipment. His supervisor finally sent him home early. "Go be with your alien friends," the man said, not unkindly. "Whatever happens today, they will need you." Ji-hoon went to Yena's unit. She was packing. Her 4 hands moved efficiently, placing her few belongings into containers. The larvae watched, confused and scared. They could sense their mother's distress. "You think the vote will fail," Ji-hoon said. It was not a question. "I have seen the numbers," Yena replied. "Most station residents have signed the petition. They will vote to remove us. I am sorry. I tried." "You did more than try. You sacrificed everything for us. No one in the hive has ever done such a thing for another species." Her wings trembled. "I will never forget your kindness, Ji-hoon Park." They sat in silence for a while. Then Yena said, "The Velik High Command contacted me this morning." "About your journal?" "Yes, it has caused much discussion in the hive. Some want to ignore it. Others want to learn more." She paused. "They have offered me a position as an ambassador, to study human culture and report back to the High Command." "That is wonderful," Ji-hoon said, though his heart sank. "You will have status again, resources, your larvae will be safe." "Yes, but the position is on the Velik homeworld. I would have to leave here." "Leave you?" Before Ji-hoon could respond, there was a knock on the door. It was Officer Kim from Immigration. "The council meeting is about to start," she said. "Yena, you have been requested to speak before the vote." They walked to the council chamber together. The large room was packed with station residents. Ji-hoon saw familiar faces everywhere. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked angry or scared. He saw the parents of Hana's classmates, the ones whose children had bullied her. Yena stood before the council, massive and alien, her shell reflecting the lights. The translator robot floated next to her. The council chairman, a stern woman named Administrator Lee, called the meeting to order. "We are here to vote on the continued residence of the Velik refugee Yena and her offspring," she said formally. "Before we vote, Yena has requested to speak." "You have 5 minutes." Yena stood silent for a moment. Then she began. "I came to this station dying," her translated voice said. "My ship was broken. My children were dying. I had lost everything in the war. My mate, my home, my purpose." The room was completely quiet. Then a human came. Ji-hoon Park. He could have waited for help. He could have followed protocol. Instead, he chose to save us. He risked his life for strangers, for aliens, for beings that looked nothing like him. Yena's wings fluttered. "I did not understand this. In the Velik hive, we help our own. The collective is everything. But Ji-hoon helped us not because we were part of his hive. He helped because we needed help. This was illogical to me." She gestured to the crowd. "So I watched. I documented. I tried to understand humans. And what I saw amazed me." The screen behind her lit up. Images began to appear. Ji-hoon fixing Mrs. Kang's door. Children sharing lunch. Strangers helping someone who had fallen. Small moments of kindness that Yena had captured. "Humans help each other constantly," Yena continued. "Small acts, large acts. Acts that cost nothing and acts that cost everything. You have no hive mind to command you. No central authority forcing kindness. Yet you choose it anyway. Each of you, individually, making the choice to help." More images appeared. Ji-hoon in the chemistry lab, working through the night to save Sunny. His exhausted face, his burned hands. "This human sold his dead mate's jewelry to buy medicine for my child," Yena said. "A child that was not his species, not his family, not his responsibility. He did it because a child was dying, and that was enough reason." The room stirred. People looked at Ji-hoon with surprise. They had not known about the jewelry. "I sent my observations to the Velik Hive network," Yena said. "I wanted my people to see what I had seen, to understand that there are other ways to exist besides constant warfare and competition." She paused. "This morning the Velik High Command contacted me. They want to study your species. They want to learn how you maintain cooperation without a hive mind. They believe humans might hold answers to ending our civil war. Administrator Lee leaned forward. What are you saying? I am saying that the Velic High Command wants to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity. They want to start a cultural exchange program. They want to learn from you. Yenna's voice grew stronger. And they want to start here. On New Sol Station? Because this is where they first learned what humanity truly means. The chamber erupted in noise. People talking, arguing, questioning. Administrator Lee called for order. Are you telling us that if we allow you to stay, the Velic will offer us a diplomatic treaty? Not just a diplomatic treaty, Yenna said. Technology sharing, resource agreements, cultural exchange. The Velic High Command sees great value in learning from humanity. But only if you show them that Ji-hoon's kindness is not unique, that it represents something true about your species. She looked around the room. If you vote to remove me and my children, you tell the Velic that one human's kindness was an exception. That fear and mistrust are your true nature. But if you vote to let us stay, you tell them that Ji-hoon represents something real, something worth learning from. The silence that followed was heavy. Then someone stood up. It was Mr. Han from administration, the one who had been most vocal about removing Yenna. Everyone turned to look at him. I signed the petition, he said. I was afraid. The Velic looked frightening, different. I thought keeping them here was dangerous. He paused. But I was wrong. Park is right. We judge by actions, not appearance, and Yenna's actions have shown only peace. Another person stood, then another. One by one, people began to speak. My daughter plays with the larvae, one mother said. She has never been happier. Park fixed my water recycler last week and would not take payment, said another resident. He said he was just helping a neighbor. Mrs. Kang stood, her old voice shaking but strong. I have lived on this station for 30 years. I have seen people come and go, but I have never seen anyone with a heart as big as Ji-hoon Park's. If we vote to remove Yenna, we tell the universe that we value fear over kindness. I will not be part of that. Administrator Lee raised her hand for silence. Very well. We will proceed to the vote. All in favor of allowing Yenna and her larvae to remain on New Sol Station, please indicate now. Hands went up across the chamber. Slowly at first, then faster. Ji-hoon watched, barely breathing. More hands, more and more. All opposed? A few hands went up. But only a few. Administrator Lee looked at the count. Then she smiled. The motion passes. Yenna and her offspring may remain on New Sol Station. The chamber erupted in applause. Ji-hoon felt tears on his face. Next to him, Yenna's wings were vibrating so fast they hummed. But then Administrator Lee held up her hand again. However, there is a complication. The Velic High Command has offered Yenna a position as ambassador on their homeworld. Yenna, what is your decision? Everyone looked at Yenna. She stood silent, her multiple eyes reflecting the lights. I am honored by the High Command's offer, she said slowly. But I must consider what is best for my children. They have found safety here, friendship here, and I have learned so much. She turned to look at Ji-hoon. The position on the homeworld would give me status and resources, but it would mean leaving the place where I learned what kindness truly means. There might be another option, Ji-hoon said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. What if the cultural exchange worked both ways? What if human families could live among the Velic, and Velic families could live among humans? Administrator Lee raised an eyebrow. Are you suggesting what I think you are suggesting? Hana and I could go with Yenna, Ji-hoon said. I am a maintenance engineer. I can work anywhere. And Hana, she already speaks some Velic. She could attend the first human Velic integrated school. That is crazy, someone in the crowd said. Living among aliens? Is it any crazier than aliens living among us? Ji-hoon replied. Yenna took a chance on humanity. Maybe it is time for humans to take a chance on the Velic. Administrator Lee looked at him for a long moment. Then she activated her communication device. I am contacting the Velic High Command now to discuss this proposal. The wait was agonizing. 10 minutes, 20. Finally, Administrator Lee's device chimed. The Velic High Command has agreed, she said, looking surprised. They say if a human father is brave enough to bring his child to live among them, it proves that Yenna's observations about human courage are accurate. They will provide housing, education, and full diplomatic protection. She looked at Ji-hoon. Are you certain about this, Mr. Park? You would be leaving everything you know. Your job, your home, your friends, You would be the first human to live in Velik space. Jihoon looked at Hana, who had slipped into the chamber during the meeting.